Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Talk. I think it's Thursday. I don't even know. By the way, like honestly, when in doubt, Q-tip. I cannot say enough good things about a Q-tip. Got something in your eye? Q-tip. Got something in your ear? Q-tip. Got something up your nose? Q-tip. Q-tip. Q-tips are life. Whoever invented the Q-tip, genius. Genius invention. Pockets in dresses, genius. Q-tips, next level. Give me 15,000. I absolutely love a Q-tip. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys about changing your mind. I don't think that we give ourselves permission enough to change our mind because everything feels so public these days. We feel like if we say something or we side with someone or we vote a certain way or we share a belief or we practice a certain religion or whatever, that once we make that choice or declaration or side or whatever, that we're stuck there. And I think when we're raising children, it is very important that we show grace and mercy and the space to change your mind. Your mind is an ever growing, ever evolving, constantly learning organ. And it's being presented with different information, different experiences, empathy. Sometimes in order to change your mind, you have to walk in someone else's shoes. Sometimes you have to see what other people are experiencing or going through to have enough reflection or enough exposure to something to say, wow, I was really wrong about this. I feel differently about this now. And we don't really give people the grace to do that. We want to hold people to exactly who they are and what they believe and what they say when we meet them. When really, the whole purpose of advocacy for anything, the whole purpose for advocacy is to change minds. Then when people change their mind, we want to say, no, that's not who you are. That's not what you felt. That's not what you thought. You said this, you said that. It's like, which way do we want it? If the goal, if in the words of who said it, maybe it was Maya Angelou, okay, who said, when you know better, you do better. And that, for me, is key in raising my children, not just for them, but for me as a human being. Because I'm constantly reading and listening and speaking to people. I have spent the last 11 years in Coffee Talk speaking to people and listening to their experiences and trying hard to put myself in their shoes and understanding what other people go through. And that has allowed me to change my mind about a lot of things. If we were never afforded the opportunity to change our minds, like, who would we be? And at what age do we decide, oh, you're old enough, you can't change your mind anymore? I think it's really important that we allow people to change their mind. Like, look, I understand that sometimes people are really awful and they do really bad things and they treat people really poorly. And it is hard to forgive them because they've been so gross, right? But our job is not to decide, who is worthy of forgiveness or grace or mercy. Our test is just, can we be those people? And if you can't, that's okay. You can look at me and go like, okay, I can't. Because I'll be honest with you. I have encountered some people who have done some shit where I'm like, I just cannot. I have an ex-boyfriend that I loved in college. And he was on paper, like facing forward facing, such a good boyfriend. But what I found out was not only was he like a cheater, which like, okay, fine, I could get over that. But he was like literally hiding drugs in my apartment under my mattress and selling drugs out of my apartment, which like I may have been fine with had you given me the option, but you didn't even give me the option. And you lied to me for 2 years about drug use, which again, I may have been fine with, probably not at the time because I was sober from drugs, but you didn't give me the choice, right? So now he's found me on social media and I keep blocking him everywhere, and somehow he fucking finds me on like LinkedIn and like whatever. And I'm like, it's not that I don't forgive you. I'm sure you're like a different person now. You're like all grown up, but I'm like, I'm sure you're a different person, but I'm good. I don't have any judgment against you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I would never wish any harm on you. I won't speak ill of you. Like, I only want goodness for you, but I don't want it in my space. And that's not lack of forgiveness. And that's not lack of empathy or mercy or grace, because I've forgiven all of it. Like, the only reason why I don't want you around my orifice is because I don't know you anymore. Like, I actually don't know you. I haven't talked to you since I was 20 years old, and now I'm going to be 50. But the love that we shared was real for me, but manufactured for you. And like, I'm good where I am, but I only want good things for you. Truly, if you're watching, I hope every blessing, every dream you have comes true. But anyway, with that being said, I very much just want us to create space to allow people to change their minds, and also for ourselves. I want you to know that it is perfectly acceptable for you to change your mind. I had a Coffee Talk watcher one time in maybe 2016. So it was probably like at the very beginning, like first couple of years of Coffee Talk. And she had filed for divorce from her husband, and they were in the middle of a divorce. And one night he called her and said, can we just go have a drink? Just the two of us. Can we go out and have a drink? And she said, I don't want to drink with you, but I'll go. And you can have a beer and we can talk and whatever. And she said they ended up having a lovely time. They spent like 3 or 4 hours at the bar. They just talked and chatted and whatever. And when she left him to go home, she broke down and cried in her car, because what she realized was that, yes, she was hurt by his infidelity. Yes, she felt thrown and confused and whatever, but she had let her entire social circle, including her family, push her into a divorce. And she realized, now that they were 6 months into this divorce and she had kicked him out and whatever, that she really didn't want to get divorced. She really felt like she could forgive him, and he desperately wanted forgiveness. He wanted the marriage to change. He admitted that he wasn't happy in the marriage, and that's why he cheated, and he felt like they had grown apart and they stopped working on each other. But that ultimately, if he had to do the work in any relationship, he wanted to do the work with her. And I think that's the key, right? That's the key right there, because guess what? Every relationship is work. So if you leave your spouse and you go with the person you had an affair with, it's a different kind of work. Either way, you're doing the work. And what he said to her was, my life is going to be hard and my relationships are going to be hard and I'm not going to be happy all the time. And what I have learned from this is I love you and I want to do the work with you. And I am sorry I put us in a position where you feel like you have to divorce me. So she wrote me this letter and said, I don't want to get divorced, but we've already filed and we're already in the middle of like negotiations and blah, blah, blah. And I said to her, if you're not dead, you don't have to do anything. If you don't want to get divorced, you sit everybody in your life down and you say, just like I made the decision to get divorced, I'm making the decision to stay married. You can get on board or you can get out of my way. And she was like, oh, you don't understand. My parents hate him. Okay, well, they don't have to sleep with him. They don't have to have a life with him. They are spectators. They are not players. And unless you rely on them financially and they're making some kind of financial threat, which you have not suggested that they are, whatever. Anyway, she went back to him and said, what if we don't get divorced? What if we start dating again and see if that works? And they ended up like pausing the divorce. I don't think they like fully called it off at the time. I think they just paused it and they started dating each other again. And I don't remember exactly how it all played out because I think at some point she stopped keeping me in the loop, which was totally fine. I think she actually still watches Coffee Talk though, so maybe she's watching this. But my point is that you are allowed to change your mind. Courtney reminds me of this all the time when I get overwhelmed or when I start to feel like I'm, like losing it. Courtney reminds me all the time, Jamie, you can decide something today and change your mind tomorrow. You can anything and change your mind. That is what you are allowed to do. And it is a very helpful reminder. So I just shared this with you to say that you are allowed to change your mind. Now, you may owe people an explanation. It may require conversation. There may be people who have an expectation based on what you said you were going to do, but you are still allowed to change your mind. So if you were watching this and you needed a sign that you could change your mind, this is the sign. Okay? I love you very much, and I hope that you have a great, great day.